Hey everyone, I'm Diana Davison, an advocate for the falsely accused and wrongfully convicted. I'm sharing some summaries of cases that I've been helping with this year, but I've gotten tons of messages on Facebook, Twitter, and email about the recently breaking news of a false accusation in the UK, where the case was thrown out mid-trial when 40,000 phone messages were finally disclosed, definitively proving that Liam Allan was innocent of the charges. Congratulations to Liam for speaking out about this case and doing something to try to change the system. I'm going to talk more about the important aspects of his story, but first I want to mention a Canadian case that I've been reporting on this year where the charges were finally withdrawn. Mustafa Ururyar gets to spend this Christmas a free man again after enduring a wrongful conviction and winning his appeal. The judge in his case, thankfully now retired, wrote the most insane, incoherent, and unhinged verdict that Canada has likely ever seen. And I want people to study that verdict, because that is what a feminist court will look like if we don't stop women's advocates from corrupting our legal system. False accuser Mandy Gray continues to be a social menace, but at least we all know her name, and no sane man will end up having sex with her in the future without ample warning using a simple Google search. I'm going to do more videos about what we can learn from Mandy Gray in 2018, because there's a lot more about that case and her little group of false accusers that needs to be exposed. But for now, let's just celebrate an important success. Merry Christmas, Mustafa. For a guy who survived a truckload of crazy, you got through it with class and courage. We're at a crossroads in our society where we're being asked to change the way police investigate allegations of sexual assault and the way they're handled in the courts. The demands being made will increase wrongful convictions, and we're being told to disregard that concern and just believe all the accusers. In fact, journalist Robyn Doolittle has just reported that police are now being trained to use something called the Fede Model, Forensic Experiential Trauma Investigation. This model makes bogus claims about neuroscience and memory in order to reduce the amount of detail that police will be collecting from the complainant. I'll tell you why. They want to reduce the chance that the accuser will be caught in lies. The best way to avoid that is to not ask them for any details. They claim the memories of sexual assault reside in the primitive brain, not the frontal cortex, and claim neuroscience has proven this. This is academic fraud, and I am determined to put an end to it before the end of 2018. Now, let's look at the real problem with the system as shown by Liam Allan's case and focus first on why the truth came out before he was convicted. I'm really pleased with this particular detail. A prosecutor who took over the case a day before trial became so uncomfortable that a disk with 40,000 messages had not been disclosed to the defense that he stopped the trial and insisted that the police produce the messages. Now, don't skim over this detail. A prosecutor took his ethical duty and commitment to a fair trial so seriously that he refused to prosecute until full disclosure had been made. We still have prosecutors out there with this kind of ethical code, and we need to support them and empower them. Jerry Hayes is my Person of the Year for renewing my faith in the legal system. So here's the next important point. People are furious that the police didn't hand over the text messages. But I guarantee you that victim advocates are furious that the police even obtained them at all. The officer told the prosecutor, Jerry Hayes, that the messages were undisclosable because they were personal and private. It's uncertain whether or not the lead officer even read them at all. The cases that I've attended and helped with all involve police not obtaining messages at all. When they do, ask a complainant if she can show or provide text to them. If she says no or claims that she deleted them, they won't pursue it or try to obtain them for evidence. Liam Allan told the press, who are now posting the officer's name and photo in his case, he says, "I would like to make it clear that this man is not solely responsible for the failures of the system. He should not be used as a scapegoat." Well said, Mr. Allan. He's right. The officer recommended that no charges be laid in this case, but he was overridden. This is also something that I've encountered in other cases. Part of the problem is that the police report that's typed up doesn't always include the reasons why the officer doesn't think it should go forward, so supervisors don't have the full story. And that's just how the advocates want it. They don't want the police to collect evidence. They don't want them to even ask questions. They want the officer overridden if that officer won't press charges. The people making these decisions are answering to pressure groups, many of them, and journalists like Robyn Doolittle, who has at least now given us a good list of names and faces of people to blame in Canada. You'll note on her list here that all of the academics are coming from the University of Ottawa. Now, these are just the ones that Doolittle's list of so-called heroes contains. I've got a bigger list that includes academics from the University of Alberta, UBC, University of Toronto, York, and Dalhousie, and those are just the ones I've found. So before we crucify an officer in England and put all the blame on him, let's find out who's really making all of these decisions. More information is coming out every day about the Liam Allan case, and thankfully Mr. Allan is taking action to stop this from happening to others. He's well placed to do so. One of the messages that came out outright states that the sex acts were not forced on the complainant. So Mr. Allan is proven innocent, not just presumed to be innocent. I also like that he's not forgiving the false accuser. He shouldn't. Next question is, when will she be prosecuted? From the other messages published thus far, this woman is a self-proclaimed sex addict who has no trouble lying about rape. Her name is not publicly known, but it must be made public to protect other people. This woman is asking other people to enact her rape fantasies, and she's a false accuser. She has to be dealt with, and other people, in her case both men and women, need to be protected from her. So while the UK does their investigation to figure out why text evidence is being mishandled, Canada is implementing changes that will stop that evidence from being acquired at all. This is not neuroscience. This level of fraud on the part of the academics and advocates who are lying to our police and members of our legal system, it's not innocent do-gooders who've made honest mistakes. They are criminals who are knowingly increasing wrongful convictions. If our society no longer cares about putting innocent men in prison, then politicians, police, and judges need to admit it and make that clear. If Canada's Senate passes Bill C-51, which will block evidence from sexual assault trials, they need to tell the public they made a decision that they don't care about wrongful convictions anymore, so that we have no illusions that we still live in a country that values liberty. Now, I'm the only organization in Canada, the Lighthouse Project, solely devoted to fighting false allegations and wrongful convictions of sexual assault accusations, and I'm the only full-time employee flying all over the place with nothing but crowdfunding. We have to start caring, because I've already got more cases than I can handle, and it's going to get worse. Get angry, but don't just get angry about Liam Allan's case. This is just the tip of the iceberg, as one lawyer has said. If we don't go back to doing proper investigations, and if we adopt these brave new changes built on bogus science and a disregard for the truth, we're headed into one of the darkest times in civilization. So, not much of a cheerful holiday message. Well, here's one positive note. I won't give up. And I won't stop until all of these frauds are stopped or arrested. Support my work on Patreon or PayPal. Links are below.